Thank you, Leah. I've been a great admirer of you and your work in Wisconsin, and you're a real hero in that state. State Policy Network is the incubator, the accelerator, and the connector of the state-based policy movement across the country. Our 130 affiliates and associates out in the states also see us as a defender of the network, defending their rights to free speech and association. It's my honor to introduce Kim Strassel today of the Wall Street Journal to talk about protecting free speech and a robust civic debate in this country. We were delighted to have Kim speak at the SPN annual meeting a few months ago to standing room only sessions. Kim has been with the Wall Street Journal since 1994, becoming a senior editorial writer and a member of the editorial board in 2005. In 2007, Strassel began writing the long-running Potomac Watch column for the Journal. Over the years, she has exposed the threat many individuals face, being targeted and harassed by their government for their political views, which culminated in her most recent book, The Intimidation Game: How the Left is Silencing Free Speech. If you haven't already picked it up, it provides an alarming look at how the left, who used to be a champion of civil liberties in this country, is today orchestrating a coordinated campaign to bully Americans out of their free speech. Before Kim comes up, I wanted to share with you a short video which happens to coincide with chapter 19 of her book. It's about what became known as the Wisconsin John Doe cases, specifically 2 victims who were targeted by their government for supporting causes they believed in. The John Doe cases demonstrate how bullying and harassment affect all of our ability to disagree with how we're being governed. And it hinders rigorous debate necessary to best serve the people of a given state. We live in turbulent times. And at the heart of it, this video is about the consequences in modern day America of voicing dissent. The citizens you'll hear from paid a personal price, and they suffered significant harm for exercising rights that our country's founders believed were inalienable. These John Doe investigations took place against a backdrop of an ongoing coordinated effort by groups on the left to pass federal, state, and local laws that would require nonprofit groups, 501c3s, that engage in issue education. We're not talking about candidate campaigns, different. Issue education. It would require nonprofits to report the names and addresses of their donors to the government. Recently, a leading voice that supports these new disclosure laws said, and I quote, "Incidents of harassment are rare," unquote. And he said that disclosure is the key to stopping corruption and making politicians and donors, quote, "behave better," unquote. Incidents of harassment are not rare. Kim chronicles dozens of real-life episodes in her book. I co-wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal a few months ago that chronicled a half a dozen more. There are hundreds of cases in this country of harassment and intimidation in modern-day America. Speaking your mind and supporting causes you believe in is a time-honored American tradition. But the opposition is using words like corruption, dark money, illegal coordination to suggest that the First Amendment harbors some sort of toxic behavior. What they really want is to make it impossible for anyone they target to have a voice to disagree, let alone debate. If you want to protect the rights of your constituents to speak out on the issues that they believe in without fear, please consider the mounting evidence. Abuses of donor disclosure laws vastly outweigh the promised or perceived benefits or rewards, and they fly in the face of American traditions and free speech and privacy. The Supreme Court said as much in 1958 with the NAACP versus Alabama ruling. Listen, even the Federalist Papers and some of our founding documents were written anonymously for protection. Violating the privacy and risking the safety of individuals on the causes they support puts us all on a slippery slope that will end with silencing civic debate. For now, let's watch this video about the John Doe cases in Wisconsin.
All of a sudden, I hear this thunderous crashing at my front door and men yelling, "Open up, open up, open right now." And I realized just how frightened and vulnerable I felt in my own house. There's nothing about my life now that looks anything like what my life looked like before the John Doe.
November 2010, Governor Scott Walker won an open race for governor, and our state legislature switched parties and became more interested in fiscal reforms and union governance reforms.
When Scott Walker got elected governor, he brought me with him and appointed me deputy secretary of the Department of Administration. In that role, I had a seat at the table with the governor when he was discussing significant policy initiatives, such as the collective bargaining reform bill. There was a lot of anger and a lot of backlash from it. I believe we underestimated the reaction that we would get.
The intensity ramped up and up and up and up. 50,000, then 60,000 protesters in the Capitol Square. I knew that this was full-scale political warfare, and I decided at that time to go all in to defend the reforms. Then I was targeted by the government for supporting a cause I believe in.
Before the sun even came up, I was asleep. And all of a sudden, I hear this thunderous crashing at my front door. 9, 10, 12 armed men rushing into my house. They spent 3 hours going through every drawer, closet, chest. I felt very much like I was guilty until proven innocent. I never saw any evidence that I'd committed any crime. I never saw any evidence that they had probable cause to come into my home. I was never charged with anything. Everyone knew I was tied to Scott Walker, and everyone knew I was tied to Act 10. And from that point forward, I lost all privacy I ever had. From that point forward, I was harassed, my car was vandalized, I was afraid to let my dogs out for fear they would get poisoned.
John Doe, this is beyond unconstitutional. This investigation, this retribution, a retaliatory campaign against us because they couldn't win at the ballot box.
It destroyed my career. It destroyed my life. It changed. It changed who I am.
This whole John Doe investigation, I would wake up kind of wondering if I dreamt it, like a nightmare. On July 16, 2015, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court killed the investigation and said the investigation was conducted without foundation in reason or law. And it was a dramatic, sweeping win.
If this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. It could happen to someone because of their sexual orientation, their religion, their political beliefs. My optimistic hope is that given the fact that I'm speaking out and others have spoken out, that this won't happen to anyone else.
This video and more information is available at People United for Privacy, our website, unitedforprivacy.com. For over a decade, Kim Strassel has worked to expose threats like these, threats to our right to support causes we believe in, free of harassment from our government. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim.